Okay, and we're live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the most boring and inept channel on the internet. I'm Deeb, your host, and tonight, oh my gosh, have I got a treat for you guys. We are having the first annual Meet My Players Chapter Uno. And today we are very lucky to have my special guest star with us, Malmius. Malmius, we're gonna introduce him to you, but this is Bland Gaming, so we have to go through what is the drink of the day. And the drink of the day is one for you, one for me. Old fashions, there, made with Buffalo Trace. Excellent stuff. So Malmius, say hi to the nerds at home.
Hi.
Okay, there he is. So let's first talk about how you've been a player in the stack behind you. Ignore, this is the final girl that is a Kickstarter I just got. That's just, it happens to be in the background. And if you hear skittering around us, we have a circling animal. Got ourselves a new dog, and he's kind of circling around us here. So I brought out some of the games that you and I play together, and you have played in a lot of my campaigns. And I brought you here to tell all the viewers at home how amazing of a GM I am. I think they all know that. They realize it when they watch my videos and hear me speak and everything. But I needed to bring a witness here. So you're kind of testifying today. But first, let's talk about who you are, okay? So let's just say you are an adult professional, right?
Yes,
We work together.
we do.
Yeah, our wives have often called us, they've called you my work wife or something like that, right?
Yeah, it could be worse.
Yeah, right, okay.
Not an abusive relationship. So I'm
No.
okay with it.
And because of the nature of our job, we really can't mention what we do for a living, but we can get in a little bit about you. So you are older, right?
Yeah, I'm 50 years old.
Jesus, you're not supposed to give your actual age, dude.
And if somebody figures it out,
Okay, all right.
so
So
figured it out,
you are not good at this anonymity.
Anonymity.
Yeah, you're not very good at this. So I'm just gonna have to get a new sidekick. Somebody get Ed McMahon on the. Half my viewers probably don't know who Ed McMahon is and everything. So we work together, but we spend more time gaming together, I would say. And then you are, can we say you're a veteran?
Sure.
Okay.
Anonymity, anonymized is over now.
So you're a veteran, United States Army, and we probably shouldn't say what you did, but we will say that you have been to the sandbox. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I served in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Yep.
A tour each.
Yep.
Yeah, that could be a whole video in itself describing those adventures.
Yes. And you are married.
I am.
And you have adult children.
Adult children out of the house.
Yeah. So
No, that's not true.
pretty close.
Yeah,
Pretty close. But so you and I are close in age, but your children are older and out of the house, and I am just getting ready to send my first one off to college and everything. So let's talk about your first experience with role-playing games. Was probably like the rest of us, Dungeons and Dragons, right? So talk about that.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that on the way over. I might get a little teary-eyed because it's such a fond memory. I cannot tell you how I got started with it. I can tell you who got me into it. We'll call him Charlie T.
Yeah, we can't use specific names on the channel here. So
Charlie T.
So
You don't know where he's from, yeah.
no, let's just call him Carl. So Carl,
Well,
okay.
Cat's out already.
Yeah.
Well, so we were in the 6th grade. Fifth, 6th grade. His older brother played D&D.
Is he still alive?
I don't know.
Because if he's dead, you can use his real name.
I don't know.
Okay. All right, I'm just throwing it out there. Okay, go ahead. All right.
It's a sad story.
Okay.
But anyways, so my fondness was where I lived at the time. We're calling him Charlie. I'm sorry.
Carl.
Carl. Mm-hmm. So Carl introduced me to D&D. His older brother played it, and obviously he wanted to emulate his older brother. Mm-hmm. And just the craziness, of a 6th grader, no campaigns, just just the sheer absurdity of some of the stuff that we do. But my fondest memories, right? So I'm sure role-playing games have many different facets, and one of the facets was the old lead miniatures.
Yeah.
And we paint the old lead miniatures in his backyard using the tester's enamel paint. And we would steal gasoline from his dad's lawnmower to clean the brushes. Right? We didn't know any better. There was no YouTube during this time. But we thought we were artistes.
It's amazing that we survived.
Yeah, right.
As long as we did here, it's amazing.
But what I loved during that time period was, how you found people to play with. Right? We didn't have a game store. I was too young for that. There's no internet at that time. Internet doesn't exist. So how do you find people? It's just word of mouth. And God, I remember, we'd get on the public bus and we'd go to different cities, to meet up with people and play. And I was in the 6th grade. Again, before the internet. So how do you find what bus that would take you to the next town or the next city over? Right, and you go to the library and meet up with these people you never met before. Nowadays, you're like, oh my God, you're going to get abducted and bad things are going to happen.
Yeah.
But at the time, this was okay.
So, how nerdy were you back then?
Yeah, where I lived.
Yeah. Did you go to prom?
No, this is 6th grade, man.
You didn't? No. I mean, no, later though. As you...
What's the whole story? Yeah. So after, Charlie, Carl, had some things happen, so, so there was a definite time period where I played, role playing. And this is when, everybody thought D&D was the devil and, obviously you're
back in the 80s.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So high school, I walked in the library one day and there's a group of people playing D&D. So of course I sit down and go, hey, I'm so-and-so and you're so-and-so and you're so-and-so. And we were friends, throughout high school. I definitely was a nerd, but I did go to prom and winter formal and I was in ROTC. So yeah. That was the best time of gaming for me because that's where I met...
you mean besides right now, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
So that's why we got the good bourbon out tonight. I see what's going on now.
This is not even the good bourbon. Yeah, I should comment for the people at home and everything. You were the one who got me into very expensive, good whiskey too. And
you're welcome.
Yes, yeah, thanks for that. So, so let's talk about then. So you show up at work, you get hired at my place of employment, and then how did we figure out at first that we were both in Fight Club? Because you don't talk about Fight Club, right?
Well, you were throwing out the vibes, right?
You think it was me? I pursued you.
Yeah, it was like pheromones or a musk or something that was being excreted. And then the interrogation started. You're like, oh, so do you know about this? Wait a second, you actually know what I'm talking about? And I'm like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. And then you in your typical fashion were like, that's it. I'm adopting you. You're coming over, and we're going to do all this. But at the time, I was recently retired from the Army, and I was actually, I was living in an apartment down here by myself to see if this was going to work out, this job and stuff. And you were like, come on over, play. Come on over, play. Come on over and play. And I'm like, man, dude, I'm trying to adjust here, and I remember distinctly saying, hey, dude, please keep asking me because one day I'm going to say yes. And then one day I said yes.
What was the first thing that we played? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Was it a board game or was it a miniatures game?
It was a board game, but I don't remember what it was. But
yeah. So we talked about that earlier today about how extroverts find an introvert and they they adopt them. They said, I like you. You're my friend now. Come follow me.
And the introvert's like, ain't got nothing better going on.
Yeah. Okay. So
Secretly excited though.
yeah, you're the introvert of our relationship here. Then
They
too.
would never figure that out.
Yeah, but not when you game though. You're not introverted at all. You're actually a really good role player. I love the characters that you create. One of the things I love about having you as a player in my games is I want to hear what happens. It's like I'm watching the story and I want to see what happens next with this character, so let's talk about, we've got a big stack of books here that I put out for your convenience. So these are the games that you played in. The very first game we played in was Battlestar Galactica.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about your experience with that and when we played that. And I'll just kind of look over your shoulder and let everybody kind of look as you're kind of thumbing through the book. This book, I think, is out of print right now. So
yeah, this was interesting. There's so much going on there. So basically, I was a commander of not the Pegasus, but basically
it was the Atlas.
the
right?
Atlas.
Yeah.
Yeah. But basically that class of warship. And what was interesting, we had all of our different players, and so I was a commander, which is interesting, with my experience in the Army and stuff like that.
We had a lot of, so what I did when
military.
Right, yeah, there it is. What I did was I set it up, and the game is written for you to be crew members, like extras on the Galactica. And I was like, no, I wanted my players to run the show. So we made up a fictitious Battlestar, and we had a group of 5, right? So we had a group of 5 players, and one person played the commander, one person played the XO, one person was the CAG, one person was a Raptor pilot, and the other person was a Viper pilot. And what we did was we made up our own Battlestar, and we took this crew. I completely made the crew up, but it was an old aging Battlestar, and it was called the Atlas. And we basically ran through the story arc of the show, and just kind of slipped in our own characters and stuff like that. So tell me what your impression was. What did you like about it? What was different about it? What did you think of the system, if you remember? I mean, we played this. This was years ago, because this was the very first role-playing game that we played together.
Yeah, about 6 years ago.
Yeah, oh yeah.
What I liked about it, so it was the first time I played with you, and then I learned your style as a GM.
Talk about that. Tell me more about that.
Yeah.
Hey,
Tell
the viewers
about
that.
About me. Yeah,
right. No. Tell them about what kind of a GM I am.
You are a theater of the mind GM.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to my early days of role playing, it was all about, hey, let's get treasure, let's get how much gold can I get, how many things can I slay, and stuff like that. Where this was the first time where it was basically a story or a play, and I'm an actor in it, and the journey itself is the reward, as opposed to experience, treasure, or something like that. Achieving certain things are important, right? But yeah. So we were talking, I guess for your viewers, after we get done with the session, we typically have a little bit of whiskey, and then we talk about life's intricacies and all fun stuff like that, and
we debrief too.
So we talk about different types of DMs and stuff like that, and when somebody plays with you, they know what they're going to get, and it's, like I said, it's the journey, it's the story, and that's your reward. Also a lot of it is we're all kind of nerds, and we all get together, and this is our social event.
Yeah.
But what I remember most about this is how we developed, since I was a commander, and then we had a CAG, combat air group commander, so we had to come up with, how many Vipers you could launch, and the other ships. Yeah,
there were 2 veterans in the group. The XO was a vet, you're a vet, And then I spent a little time in the Marine Corps. And I think between the three of us, we really ran it as a science fiction military simulator. I think really we had a lot of fun with kind of figuring things out about how long a Raptor could stay in flight before it needed to be refueled. We had different configurations for the, and we did all of that outside of the book. The book itself is very bare bones. It's a very simple system and everything, which is what I liked about it. And it was very easy for us to convert it and add our own things. We even had a little cheat sheet for the things that the checklist for what the players had to do before they launched a Viper and everything. We had a lot of fun with it. And one of the things that I loved about the show was it was very obvious to me that the writers and or the producers had spent some time on a real aircraft carrier to see what it was like. And I think we really went after that in spades with this and everything. So I thought it was a great game. I enjoyed it a lot. It was challenging as a GM, though, to keep the entire party involved. So we had to do a lot of what you call like watching TV. So like for instance, with Malmius playing the commander, right? He could not be in every single scene because the commander's not in every single scene. And so what we would have is we would have one overarching story arc, just kind of like on the TV show. And then everyone would have a side story that was going on in the background there. And the major story arc would involve everyone in some degree. And then the minor stories would be everyone would have their 15, 20 minutes where they run off on their minor story and stuff like that. And I think it worked as a game. It worked really well, but I will say the downside of it as the GM was it was I worked a lot on it. It was very labor intensive. But we did come up with these characters that we fell in love with, like the crew members and stuff were endearing. And I thought I really enjoyed it. I was like, I really wanted to see what happened next and everything. And one of our players right now, I guess we can call him Aardvark, right? He has been saying that if we went back to, we're talking about if we stopped playing Coriolis, which is what we're playing right now, and then we went back to something, this is the one campaign that he wishes that we would return to, because we played this for months, and we got barely up to like the day after the Cylon attack. And it was really fun. The downside of this is it's very easy for your players to metagame. And we saw a little bit of that.
Yeah, because we know what's going on.
Yeah, because you knew what was happening, and especially right before the attack and stuff. And so we did have a little bit of some... we had some people that were almost... to their credit, once they were corrected in-game by you as a commander and everything. Because and you actually... had to kind of pull rank on him, and I really liked that. That was really cool. I thought the XO, again, being a vet, his interactions with you was fun to watch because he was calling you sir and knew exactly when to... He was actually a quintessential very good XO, I thought. I thought he was a great player. I liked we had a female that was playing Raptor Pilot, and I thought she was a great player. She was just very... she's a teacher in real life, and she's a big fan of the show, and she was very optimistic in her outlook on life, and it kind of it carried over into her character, almost like her character's the whole story arc was her character's baptism of fire. I liked her character a lot. So anyway, so that was BSG, and then the reason why we stopped playing BSG was because a new game came out, and everybody knows who watches the channel that I have a terrible, terrible addiction, and it is Conan. So what we did was I said, hey guys, I am so excited about Conan that we're going to put BSG on hold and we're going to play Conan. And so we went ahead and started playing Conan. And anyway, so tell me about your experience. Tell us about your character. Tell me about your experience in Conan, and tell everyone how awesome I GM'd it.
What can you say about Conan? So we started playing the original. This is the 2D20 from Modiphius. Yeah, my character was an Argosian noble, sunk at sea. became a slave in Vanheim, basically adopted. So he's like half Vanheim, half Argosian. Turned to piracy. Hates the Picts. So basically, he's Erland the Cleaver now. I think by now, we've been playing this so long, he's kind of like a pirate lord.
Yeah, he went from like the most laughed at, worst pirate in all of Hyboria,
Little
to
Jack Sparrow-ish.
very Jack Sparrow-ish, yeah, and then became the most infamous when he actually saved. They saved the world from the rising of R'hllor and I actually had Cthulhu. Yeah. We've explained that to my viewers that this is the same world as Lovecraft. It's just a millennia before and everything. So tell us, tell us about the 2d20? Tell us about your impressions of I have discussed my feelings about the 2d20, and I do have to preface this again with 2d20 is an extremely successful system. A lot of people on the internet love it. A lot of people in the gaming community love it. It's extremely popular and it does very well. But I have said it does not suit my style of GMing, and I'm interested to. I'm sure my viewers are interested to hear a second opinion.
Let's start off with the good. Man, I loved Modifius and how they did the books and how they had all these extra books, right? So you actually have a pirate book. To draw inspiration from, and not only just, hey, this is a pirate book, but this is like all the different type of pirates that you can be, and and they have fighters and some for magic and stuff like that. What I really loved, when we played this was the diversity of characters.
The character generation was amazing. It was just fun.
We have one guy that plays with us, and he's kind of a non-combat character, the Sheik of them all. And that is one of my favorite role-playing characters of all time.
Yeah.
Because he's not a combat character, but he's central, to a lot of the, scenarios, and he's central, to our group. What I disliked about 2d20, right, is the cheese. If a person wanted to cheese and create this absolutely singular specific character, or who's singularly really good at one thing, it's like, why are we even rolling the dice? You're always going to succeed, and if you don't succeed, you have this other, thing that you can use to make sure that you succeed. And I'll detail one scenario that we had. We were fighting like iron giants and
like golems. Yeah.
Golems, yeah. And three of the other players are slaying these guys in one or two hits, and then here you kind of have this swashbuckling pirate, just smacking them and tickling them, and it doesn't become fun as a player, right? So I'm rolling dice. I'm like, hey, I got one success. Okay, you do 3 points of damage. And yeah, that's it. And then these guys, and it's, for 5 rounds, you're okay. You do another point of damage. You do another point of damage. And these guys are like, well, I've killed 3 already, and I'm going to come over and kill yours in one swipe. And you're like, that's not kind of fun.
So tell us about the discrepancy then. Why was your character only doing like 1 point with your swings and stuff like that?
Well, I developed my character as a seafaring, pirate captain, right? So he had to have points in sailing. He had to have points in command. He had to have, and then, he'd have no, he had no armor. He had no points in armor and stuff like that, because that's not really good on a ship. So, we're in, but, I'm using that as one example, but that happened over and over and over and over and over. And you're like, we're creating these singular characters, and we're picking skills, to accentuate that, so where I swing once and then I do riposte and I'm killing 6 people, and you're like, this isn't fun. But I will say, we need to go back and say, we still laugh about it to this day. But, our group could role play a scene in a restaurant, for half the night.
Which we have.
Which we have, right?
Yeah, we have.
And you lament it. You're like, we were supposed to be at this point in the campaign, but you guys are still in the restaurant.
I know, but I love it, actually.
But yes, but what type of... So tell us how the land is prepared.
Yeah, I love that stuff, though, where you can actually see, smell, and feel the environment, you know.
Right, which is interesting, and that goes back to your style of GMing, Oh, hey, we killed 10 enemies today. Yeah, but man, do you remember? Do you remember the prostitute in the restaurant? Oh wow, yeah, right. So, and that's funny too, because some of our players, we have a female player, school teacher, so it's it's awesome, seeing her in this environment and stuff like that, and how we all interact.
Yeah, she is really, she's definitely, I say she's one of my favorite. I mean, but I love all our players. I think we have a lot of great groups right now and everything, the groups that we're running. But I can't wait to interview her for this and everything. But she has definitely kind of come out of her shell and become such a great part of our group and everything. And she met her husband at my game nights. So here we are, world. I want her to say, I can just tell her you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I did that. Yeah, that was me. So we went back. We took a break from Conan because of the system. And now we've gone back. What do you think about, just because we are currently playing this one, we're playing Coriolis right now. So tell us what you think of Conan now. I mean, why do you think what drew you back as a player to this setting? And then tell me about what we've done to kind of make it better, and is it working?
Oh, absolutely. So the quintessential, the band's back together, right? Mm-hmm. So all the... and these are epic characters, right? This is not, this is not a level 1, fighter that was a farmer yesterday. These are larger than life characters that are in a group, going through, the world of, H.E. Howard.
Robert E. Howard.
Robert E. Yeah.
You're doing good, though. You're doing a great job tonight. I'm sure it's a whiskey. It's fine.
Thanks.
H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Robert E. Howard. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we're going through his world, and as not equals of Conan, but near equals, and we're playing with a group of friends. We're doing the Forgotten Realms system, which is still
Forbidden Lands.
Forbidden Lands.
Forbidden Lands, yeah. Forgotten Realms is old school D&D.
Yeah.
So I should preface this that we came straight from the boozer here. We were at the
That's
pub.
How you got me on camera.
I know. We were at the pub and we had dinner at the pub with our families, and then I called you up and I said, hey, I got to get back into my channel and stuff like that. Come over, let me interview you and everything. Yeah. We really should be doing this in a podcast because my arm is getting sore holding the camera up here and everything. So, but
you want to pause and get like a
No, I'm fine. So don't patronize me. Okay, and so how do you like the Forbidden Lands rules, and how do you think the conversion is going so far?
It's fine, right? Because again,
it's fine. When my wife says something's fine, it's not fine. So
well, again, like I said, this is we're in a play, we're in a story. So the system is, as long as the system is fair, and I think for us, as long as the system is flows very well. That was the other thing with 2d20. Right, you're rolling, and then you get to, roll something else, and then you get to re-roll, and then, hey, I'm going to stack this talent, so I'm going to roll again, and, so you got one person rolling 6 times, and you're like, hey, this is slowing down. This is slowing down everything.
I do remember that, like some players like being 5 or 10 minutes just for a turn.
Yeah,
I do remember that. Yeah.
So with the, basically the near zero system is what we'll call it. It just works. You're rolling at appropriate times. And the rolls mean something, right? But the story's still the same. The characters are still the same.
I think you do lose a lot of that detail, though, that is so wonderful about this game setting, about like the details in the characters and the character building and the character making and stuff like that. The most fun part of this game was building the characters themselves, and you lose a lot of that super detail and everything. So.
Yeah, but they were established. Like I said, since we started it up again, the characters are established enough to where
Yes,
that made up for it.
yeah, we have 2 new ones though that are in the campaign itself and everything. Right. So I have often told people that I believe this game, and this game actually is going out of print now because Monolith is picking up the Conan title.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
So it'll be interesting to see if we switch over to the Monolith system and see if they go there. But I don't know. I mean, right now I have everything I could possibly wish for. I have all the books and stuff. Yeah, there's your pirate right there. Look at that, you and Belit. Mm-hmm.
Well, I liked it too. What's that website, Hero Builder? So we made our own, miniature characters and.
Oh yeah.
So everybody was invested. Everybody was on board with it too.
Yeah, I think when I even suggested that we go back to Conan, there was like a resounding roar of yes! Oh my God, yes! So I had no idea that there would be so much enthusiasm to go back to it.
Yeah.
So
for the record, you are a murderer.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
You are a murderer.
No. So, okay. So then I think the next game we played was we did what we call palate cleansers, where we have like one. We have an adventure that's like usually a 3-night gig and everything.
You're a murderer.
And I think
you killed Sigurd the Red.
It was.
I want the world to know.
It was. I did not do it.
Dirty.
No, the Frost Giant's daughter did it. So that's another video and everything. Okay. So we played Alien, and we played the initial scenario that came with it. It was basically the space trucker scenario. For the life of me, I can't remember what it was called. Totally brain farting, but it was like right when the game came out.
Yeah.
And we did the pre-generated characters, we did the characters with the secret agendas, and we basically played the scenario where you were going to die no matter what. Now, I want us to be careful. We cannot give away spoilers in that because there's a lot of spoilers in that scenario and everything. But I will say you played the captain of the ship, did you not?
Yeah, odd.
Yeah. You wind up playing the leader, of a lot of our games and everything.
Why is that?
Yeah. Well, I think your military experience, I mean, you were a warrant officer and you have led people before and everything, and it carries over into the game, and you have great characters, and I think you're a natural leader, and so I think it winds up coming to you. However, and we can talk about that you've really tried to make an effort, especially in Coriolis, to step out and make sure that you are not in a leadership position in that game. So,
in the immortal words of a previous commander, I'm just the pinball flippers keeping the ball in play.
Yeah. So let's talk about Alien. What did you think of Alien?
Oh man, the first scenario we played was amazing, right? Yeah. Because
Chariot of the Gods, that's what it was called.
Yeah.
Chariot of the Gods, yeah.
Well, we had, this is a whole different group. We had different players. What was amazing about it was how cutthroat it was. And, the very last, scene, the very last roll of the dice was just, everybody was like, oh, wow, I didn't see that coming. Whoa. Mm-hmm. It was a very brutal game, Once the xenomorphs show up, it's it was over. But that was another thing I liked about the game, right? Mm-hmm. We play these role playing games. You can become attached to your character, to the point of it almost inhibits you sometimes. Because you're so attached to this character and the lore and stuff like that. And Aliens is like, nope, you go in, you're going to die. And that's kind of refreshing in its own way.
I think that, I don't think we had anyone get butt hurt when we played that.
No, because we knew going in, this is Alien.
Yeah.
Right?
And everyone kind of accepted the fact that everyone, if not almost everyone, were going to die, and it almost got to the point where people were excited. They wanted to have the best death, they wanted to be the first person. There was for a while there where they were like, "Yes, I'm the first person to go," So it really did play like, especially that scenario, played like the first Alien movie.
Yeah.
It was creepy. It was, and it's funny because there's a lot of potential for spoilers because we know this setting, and on its surface you would go, well, heck, I mean, we know it's going to be a chest burster. We know there's going to be an alien, but it wasn't.
No, there was a lot of plot twists.
There was, and
and then, like I said, the final scene, nobody expected. I don't want to give spoilers, but everybody's jaw dropped.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, you dirty bastard! Oh,
what did you?
Well played.
What did you? What
I can't
did
be
you,
mad at you.
What did you like about the ambiance? The things that I did to help. Well, what did you like that I did?
Yeah,
Tell me about the awesome things I did.
Yeah.
Like I've talked in my Alien video. I talked about using the camping lights, the electric lights.
Oh yeah, mood
stuff.
You're really big on music, and
you
have soundtracks. I don't know.
I use video
you're
game
very artsy
soundtracks.
fartsy,
Yeah,
so I know you love sitting at your computer, composing soundtracks for the games. And
I don't compose them. I compile them.
Yeah. And I'm kind of making fun of you, but it's actually really awesome. Don't tell anybody I said that.
Yeah.
So
I used the soundtrack to Alien Isolation, the video game, and
it's not even that.
Perfect.
It's like
it was so good.
The timing, right? So we'll come into a scene, and you're like, "Oh, this is not the right music. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me find my happy place," and then you'll change it. And you're like, "Oh," and then we, and then as players, we're like, "Oh shit!"
So
here it comes.
In Chariot of the Gods, the one scene that was, let's say, it was the scene, and everyone knows that in an Alien game, the scene where there's a burster of some sort, right?
Yeah.
There was that first burster scene, and I absolutely that is to date one of my most favorite scenes that I think I've ever GM'd. And it was like, what was so awesome was after the scene was over, it was dead silent in the room. Everyone was just quiet and everything. And I think it was Patu, our friend, we'll call him Patu, who said he's married to Jade. Okay, so Patu said, "Wow, that was intense," and that was a really cool scene, and I loved how people did not play from their character sheet in that scene. They acted like they would have acted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what was great was our friend, the teacher, who I just have to mention her again. She doesn't swear, and she's a very proper church-going person, and in that scene, through her character, she was screaming, swearing at that girl to open up the hatch, the airlock, and everything.
She did.
Oh yeah, she did it great and everything, and it's like the first and only time I've ever heard her swear, and it was great.
And we're all
like wow, awesome.
But we also had to be honest, so we played a second palate cleanser. And that didn't go so well.
That was the Hope's Last Day one.
Yeah.
You didn't like that one as much.
No, because that one was just too brutal, right? You expect to die, right? But it's a game. You want to have a fighting chance.
Yeah.
If one of us survives, that's awesome. That makes the game worth it. But it seemed the aliens were very overpowered in that.
I think that was my fault. Was that when you guys were making a charge for the shuttle to get off planet, I didn't.
Wasn't even okay. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Extroverts do this to introverts. I'm not trying to step on you, but I think I threw too many aliens in for that because I wanted it to be this desperate escape. And then the party got overwhelmed and wiped out. So I think that was on me.
No, I disagree.
That was on me.
No, I disagree. I think the aliens, were just too powerful to where, like, hey, you shoot them, okay, nothing happened, and then they hit you one time and you're dead. You're like, I understand they're supposed to be tough. They're xenomorphs. I get it, but it's a game, and it just, but it was like that for every character.
Yeah.
Right? So the next character ran into a xenomorph and. used a shotgun, and then the xenomorph hit them one time and they're dead. And you're
Yeah.
like,
Well,
and then everybody's sitting on the sideline watching everybody else, and you're like,
there were pulse rifles in that scenario too, and the pulse rifles were blowing them apart in the second movie and stuff. But I don't care. That is still one of the best role-playing games I think I've ever played. I am a big fan of Alien. Gen Lab Alpha. Okay, I know. I think you and I kind of disagree on this one, but well, I think I like this much more than you did. So, in Mutant Year Zero, it's a post-apocalyptic game, and then the Gen Lab Alpha specifically is, I think it's hinted. I think it's Yellowstone Park is where it's taking place, and basically the characters are anthropomorphic animals that are trapped there in this research facility that is being maintained by these robots that were built there for that are long dead humans. So the animals were formed into tribes and everything, and I basically used the campaign out of the book, but I really spiced it up, and I do have a video that talked about the things that I did with the Gen Lab Alpha campaign. But let's talk about that. What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? We wound up not finishing it. We just changed because we actually had scheduling conflicts. It was just no one was able to show up, and I just kind of said,
I like how nice you are. I like how scheduling conflicts. Let's just say some people just never showed up.
Yeah, but this is one. Okay. I don't know. I'll let you be the bad cop.
Okay.
So this one is a setting that I would very much like to return to. I really like Mutant Year Zero. Not specifically Gen Lab Alpha, although I do like Gen Lab Alpha. I own all 4 of the books, and I would love to run a Mutant Year Zero campaign again. I'm a sucker for the post-apocalyptic stuff.
I'll do it.
Yeah, I know you will. But okay, so let's talk about you and... You spend some time. I'm going to shut up as the extrovert. Yes. You talk about Gen Lab Alpha, talk about Mutant Year Zero. Let's talk about what you liked. Let's talk about your character. So tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's different. So you're playing an anthropomorphic animal. English, hard. Right? So that's something different. The setting's awesome. There's a wonder to it because you're role playing, this animal who comes across a glass bottle, and you're like, wow, a glass bottle. You could put stuff in this, right? So we take it. I'm looking at mini glass bottles right now, and that's just, hey, it's just like any other day, but here it's a wondrous thing. And coming across like an old vehicle, wow, or even a gun. Gun makes bang. Wow. I'm a god now because I have a revolver. So that sense of wonder and stuff like that. Your character creation of all the different stuff that you can do.
It was very fun for me describing things to you, what they looked like, without telling you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a child in a car seat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Where I would describe it like I said, this person must have been very important because they're in a throne in the back seat of the chariot.
And that's what you're awesome.
Yeah.
You're awesome at painting that picture. Yeah. That's what I love.
And I loved handing you guys props too. Yeah. Like the little skeleton in the car seat had a copy of Where the Wild Things Are. Yeah. And I just handed you that book. Yeah. I want to go back to the bottle because one of my favorite moments in that campaign, I don't remember if you remember it, was when in the front seat of the car you found half a bottle of Jack Daniels.
Yeah, and poured it out.
And you turned to the other character, you say, do you know how valuable this is, right? And he's got half a bottle of Jack Daniels, and your character pours it out into the snow and says, now we can put whatever we want in it. That was such a great moment. Yeah. Anyway, so... I really enjoyed this one. I enjoyed playing the Watchers, who were the robots and everything. I loved the players in this. I loved playing the concept of Eve, who is the little girl who was deaf and who she was kind of like the savior for the animals who makes her way in. That was something that I added to the campaign, and I really loved it. I did cheat though. I was heavily influenced by that.
No.
Yeah, I did. I shamelessly was influenced by the character from the little girl from Planet of the Apes. I really based Eve off of that character there, and I even, your character was an orangutan, and I would even send you photos of the orangutan and the little girl and say, this is how I picture your character with them and stuff. So, great game. I really like this one, and I really would have liked to have seen us finish it to where they escape and then get out into the real world and everything. So I definitely would like to revisit this one again. Yeah. What didn't you like about Gen Lab Alpha and Mutant Year Zero?
So what killed it was, honestly, what killed it was the players themselves. There were some players that just never showed up. So you never got to play it. And then,
good players, though, when they showed up. When they were there, they were great players,
Some,
I thought,
yes.
so.
Yeah. Some other not so much, there has to be a chemistry in your players too, and that's just the fact.
Tell us about your character that you played in this.
Oppenheimer, he was an orangutan, basically. He was a salvager. So, he was always picking stuff up, and he had this huge backpack that was made out of a shopping cart, and every time he walked, he rattled, and
yeah, I remember. Everyone was working so hard to be quiet.
Yeah, one of the other players, was
I remember that.
The school teacher, Jade, was
she's a cat.
Yeah, cougar.
She was like a hunter.
Yeah, we laughed a lot about that. And she was always like, "Could you just be quiet?"
Yes. Yeah. That was a great scene too when they first met. She was hunting like some sort of like bison, mutated bison kind of character, and then here it gets scared off because here comes Oppenheimer walking up, just clanking and thumping and stuff like that, and that's how they first met.
It reminds me of the scene from. Spies Like Us, when they're in the, they become the aliens in the snow. And
we're
really,
you're really dating us here and everything.
And they're like, nah.
Think of something more recent and everything. So
the other thing is basically we're in an insurgency against the the Watchers, and it was very open. It was very sandbox, and this is one of the games where I wasn't. The commander, and that's where we kind of found out you really need somebody to lead, right?
Yeah,
you need somebody to say this may not be the right way, but this is the way that we're going to go, just so it can further the story, just so it can further the.
I don't think anyone really stepped up though, and I think I didn't. I think I devised the stories not really to be that way, and Sandbox is not my. Cup of tea. So I was way out of my comfort zone there as well. So I was trying to create events within the sandbox setting and stuff. So
so there was there's awkward pauses like
Yeah.
Okay, what are we going to do now?
Yeah.
What are we going to do now? And we kind of had a de facto leader, and it was a moose that had visions. And what was awesome, he had a bag, in real life, he had a bag of Legos.
Yes.
And he would throw the bones, and that would be his premonition.
Yes.
That was amazing.
Yes.
And that should have been our springboard to, to further the scenarios or to further the scenes and stuff like that. But
he did a really cool job too, where he would throw the Legos out, and then he would make up like a vague vision to where I could play into whatever he said that was the vision with the bones. And for him, it was like a deeply religious item and stuff. But I think that was really cool about this game here was the props, being able to use props and everything. Do you remember you guys met that duck and he gave you the duct tape? Duck, yeah, the foul-mouthed duck that would not stop swearing.
That had a Boston accent.
Yeah, he did. He did. I did. Yeah, I loved that. But he handed, like for reward for saving him, he hands you I handed you guys a roll of duct tape. Yeah. And what was so fun was watching everyone interact with the roll of duct tape and everything. Yeah. and interact in a different way and stuff like that. That was really cool. So before we get into Coriolis, I think what I think we should do. We should pause the video and we should refill our drinks here.
No, please, no.
Yeah, I know, right? We'll be right back. You guys are not even going to notice we're gone. So one sec.
Free bourbon.
All right, so we're back. I kind of have to confess something that what really needed to happen was not the old-fashioned refill, but we're old men and we had to go pee and stuff. So that's kind of what happens when you got old guys and stuff. No, I'm kidding. The battery power on my phone, which I'm literally holding up here, and I know some of you guys get like motion sickness and stuff, so I'm really trying hard to hold it still. It was funny. Malmius was saying when we went off record, he fixed the drinks this time and everything, and he is quite the bartender for a guy that's never been a bartender. So he has a full bar at his house, and my wife and I love to go over there and have him make drinks for us. But anyway, I digress. So he was talking about how he can't wait to see someday when bland gaming does not get so bland, and I get like, I don't know, a microphone, a real camera, something like that. I don't know. There are two guys in my group who are extremely three really, right? That are very technical, and maybe I should tap into their skills more and everything. So, all right, so let's talk about now. I knew we had to take a break before we went to this next one and everything. So we got to talk about the big tamale. We got to talk about Coriolis, because I think up there with Conan, Coriolis has been the longest game that we have been playing, and we have been playing it for a long time. So, Malmius, talk to us about Coriolis.
I would say Coriolis is the longest continuous role-playing game that we've played. We've had so many players come in and out, due to real-life type things, such as moving, so you have these natural exits of characters and stuff like that, which then provides the opportunity for new people to come in.
Yes. We have our original 5, I think.
Helicopters.
It's CH-46. I saw it.
CH-47.
No. 46 is a Super Stallion, right?
Yeah.
And this is a Chinook. So
or Chinook.
Chinook. It's
Chinook.
Named off of it's a tribe. It's literally so CH-40. Yeah, they did not name it after the fish. They named it after the tribe. So CH-47, right?
Yeah, that's a little.
Yeah. So they've been circling today. I don't know what is going on and everything. Maybe this is the big moment, right? Okay, so let's talk about Coriolis here. So a lot of people don't know. Like when I'd heard so many great things about Coriolis, and I didn't know anything about it. And then I kind of watched some things, and ironically for me, I did not think that the one thing I think that I would not be able to get into turned out to be one of my favorite things about the game, and that is the Arabian culture. Huh. I absolutely love it. I love it. It's funny because way back in the old D&D days, I did not think I was going to be able to get into Al-Qadim, and I totally got into all. Do you remember Al-Qadim, the Arabian Adventures from Forgotten Realms?
No, I've never played it. I played Forgotten Realms, but... Yeah.
You never played Al-Qadim? You are so bad at this. I'm going to stop the video right here. We're going to use somebody else. Okay. So anyway, I like that about this. So tell us what is your impression? What do you like about Coriolis? What do you not like about Coriolis? There is discussion in our group about transitioning because we've been playing this for so long. So, and not that it's anyone anyway, I'll let you elaborate on that. So go ahead.
No pressure, huh? Arabian Nights in space, space opera. Instead of Arabian / Persian is really what I would call it. The height of the Persian Empire, has a big influence on this, which makes it more palatable, digestible for an average person. especially somebody who's been. I digress. So the height of the Persian culture. So you have the garb, the science, the arts, from that time period. But it's in space. So you have all this multifaceted opportunities. And then you got the tension between the firstborn and the secondborn.
The Zenithians and the firstborn. Yeah. The old world versus the new world.
Yeah,
right.
So you have
faith versus science.
That arbitrary.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
So some of that.
I actually get smarter the more I drink. It's not fair. I'm Irish, so anyway, don't feel bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got that going on, and then again, right? So we have a different female player who's an artist. And it works.
In real life
and in game.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it turns out now she's the captain of the ship. So you have an artist, a dancer who's in charge of an infamous, ship in the Third Horizon. Right?
We could say it. It's a Falcon's Fortune is the name of the ship. Yeah.
The Falcon's Fortune. And, so you have this diverse character set. Again, which I loved about Conan. I'm always amazed at a player that can play a character, that can fight, because there's always some fighting, but, the majority of that, the specifics of that character is not combat or not, swinging a sword or shooting a gun,
I'd say, though, that our Corios campaign is very much a sprinkle of Game of Thrones, a sprinkle of The Expanse, and then
definitely, yeah. And that's the other good part too.
And Dune a little bit, I think, too, right?
Families, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and and another good thing about you as a GM, right?
Say that again, but say it slower. So,
work
sorry.
life, right?
Go ahead.
Work life.
Yeah.
No. The other good thing about you as a GM is, so the original group that we started with this, right? Everybody put some effort into their characters, excuse me, and had some amazing backstories, right? I remember we had one player that had, multi 4 or 5 pages worth of backstory. And you take the time to read that and incorporate that into some of the scenarios and stuff like that. And then specifically, one of my characters, there was whole episodes, there were whole scenarios just about my backstory, that I just made up to make my character interesting, and it turns into this amazing story. And not only that, everybody, the entire crew's on board. The entire crew was like, hell yeah, we're going to go avenge him. Yeah. And you're like, wow, but then it becomes, you're like, okay, weeks upon weeks of my story, let's take a step back. Somebody else, needs an opportunity to excel or an opportunity, to shine.
We do that. I think different legs of all of our campaigns, whether it's Conan or Coriolis, you have one story arc where these two characters are going to be like the main characters per se, and then everyone else is going to be like the supporting characters, where you have a hero's arc that's occurring and stuff like that. But what I thought was very interesting about the current campaign we're running is you started out as the pilot of the ship, then we lost our captain because he moved away, so you stepped up and became the captain, and then there was a background arc that you had written about. You were a disgraced Dar where your uncle had killed your father and had taken over your clan on Daberon. And it was always your wish to go and exact your vengeance and reclaim your throne. And we actually decided, there was a point in our game where we decided you guys were going to do that. And what I thought was really interesting about that was that once you guys had completed that and the vengeance was complete, you had reestablished yourself as the Dar of Clan Janir on Daberon and everything, you said there's no way he would step away from his responsibilities as Dar of this clan, and so you chose to stay on Dabaran and make a completely new character, and that is what I loved seeing as a GM. That was really cool because I was not expecting that. I even tried to give you an out.
Oh yeah.
I was throwing you bones and stuff, going, no, okay, it's okay for you to leave and still go across the stars and stuff like that. And what was very interesting was that was when, rather unexpectedly, we kind of conspired a little bit to have a vote about nominating who was going to be the next captain of the ship.
Rigged.
And
it was rigged.
And we didn't tell the player, we didn't tell our artist that she was going to be the next captain of the ship and everything. And all the players voted, and they wound up nominating her. She was her character, though, it made sense because she was of noble blood and everything. She had a lot of legitimacy to her, and she was young and inexperienced as a character, but also as a player. This is her first time playing a role-playing game ever.
I know.
And interesting story. I can't wait to interview her and talk to her about this. It'll be fun. But she is a belly dancer that she does as a hobby, and she enjoys that very much. And I knew her through our kids. Our kids know each other, and she's just very artsy, and she and I had always gotten along, and she's had a little nerd side to her. And I said, hey, I know you're really into this, this Arabic culture, and would you ever be interested in doing this? And I described it to her, and she said, that sounds fascinating. And I got to tell you, man, I think she's an excellent role player. She's done substitute teaching and stuff too, though. I mean, she is definitely, because she's a part-time teacher, she takes the most amazing notes, so that when we have our session where we go, okay, what happened last time and everything, and she's just rattling off and And what's amazing too is she just jumped right into this. Her husband doesn't play. He's just like, yeah, go play with your friends and stuff, and he sells coffee and winds up bringing us all coffee and stuff, because he sells coffee, but. As a distributor and everything. So
what is that old saying? The the DM's favorite player is the one that takes notes.
Yeah, I enjoy having her in the game. I think she's an interesting character. And then you went. I think the other reason too is we discussed this earlier, that you were in the mood to not be in charge, and you were in the mood to let somebody else run the show.
Yeah.
And so you nominated her, and then when you made your replacement character. Tell us about the priest that you've made now. He's a very, very different character than the character that was the captain of the ship.
Yeah, again, I keep mentioning, I admire people who can play characters that are, not singly focused. It's easy to play. You go back to original D&D. So you have a fighter, right? Who swings a sword. You have a thief who uses a knife. You have a wizard who shoots a magic missile, right? So we've progressed, not only as players or as individuals or even as systems, right? To develop a character that does something else or is thrust into this this amazing situation and then adapts from there. So priest, it was a missionary. Absolutely unremarkable, no backstory. His story is going to be written through what's going on in game now. And, that's not original. I'm not the first person to ever do that. I get it. But, as a player, that's how I'm progressing and that's how I'm maturing.
Well, he was from Mira and has never been off planet.
Never been off planet. Yeah.
And so this is the first time.
Yeah.
And I love the way
on this famous ship.
Yes.
And you got to tell everybody, the Falcon's Fortune, the ship itself is infamous.
It is.
It's famous. It's on the bulletin.
Yes, through all the adventures that we've played, there's been a lot of press coverage for it. Yeah. So it has become this infamous, very much along the lines of the Rocinante from The Expanse and stuff. So
no plagiarism there whatsoever.
No,
none.
It's inspiration. It's flattery.
Yeah.
So
don't want this to get demonetized.
No, not at all. But the other thing that I really liked about his character is how you played off his combat skills. Like he has the ability to shoot and he'd hunted and stuff like that. And we play him as kind of like a savant where he sat down and he was like, never knew I could shoot. And it was like, well, he's like, what do you mean? I have some sort of natural talent? And they were like, yeah, can you do that again?
Yeah, there's that. Yeah. Like there's, the one scenario where he kind of saved the day, and it was a lucky roll. Mm-hmm. That's the other great thing about role playing, right? Where you're like, man, I get this one amazing roll and it fits into the scenario. You're like, wow, man, you just saved the day. The combat character, the Legion pilot right now looks at you and goes, man, this guy can shoot. He's better than me.
Yeah, where'd you learn to do that?
Yeah, I've never held one lucky roll.
Yeah, I've never held a gun in my entire life. So
and then the crew's like, man, this guy's kind of good to have around.
Yeah,
right?
He was shooting like ship weapons and stuff, and the one guy was looking over his shoulder, telling him what to do. And then they were like, after the battle, they were like, where did you serve? And he was just like, I've never sat in a ship my entire life. That was a great moment. That was a fun role-playing moment. We do have to talk about Barca. We have to talk about the Skavara on board the ship and everything.
How did that come? Oh, yeah, I know how that came about. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved that character. He was trying to pickpocket one of the players on Coriolis, and then they got caught. And Barca is kind of... he's kind of, well, I don't know. What is your impression of... He's a Skavara. He's definitely the comic relief of the game, but not... No, but he's also very... There you go. There's a Skavara right there. Yeah. They're like little hyena, humanoid type characters and everything. So, but he is also a very passionate and very loving and almost the moral center, I think, of in a primitive way. You know what I mean? He can't speak very well, but he understands everything. He's not good with technology. He's so proud of himself because he learned how to mop and whatnot. Yeah. So, what's your impressions of Barca? I mean, we can't talk about the Falcon's Fortune without talking about Barca.
No, Barca is the mascot of the Falcon's Fortune, and that's not doing him justice. Barca's a dog, right? Who's bonded with everybody, and everybody's bonded with him. If a dog could talk,
that's actually a good way to describe it.
If a dog could talk, but not like a human, that would be Barca.
Yeah.
There's some levity, brought about, because of his antics. He's fiercely loyal, to the crew because that's his pack, that's his family, and in turn they treat him the same. My favorite thing with Barca was, God, what did he do? He sniffed out Draconite. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He was wearing a cloak. She was wearing
and he sniffed him out
cloak.
And, saved the crew. So at the time I was the captain, and I presented him with this. I had the ship engineer just make this ostentatious, huge medallion, and we presented it to Barca, and he's like crew member of the month. So it's this huge dinner plate of an award, and
Skavara loved trinkets.
Yeah,
so
trinkets.
It was right,
and the bigger the better, right? So he was like,
it was perfect.
I am the greatest thing since.
That was really great.
Sliced white pita.
That was cool. That was very cool. Do you like the? So it is no. Well, I guess let's talk about one more game, and then I want to circle back. So.
Ooh. Is there going to be a part 2, or are we just doing everything at once?
No, I think let's just do the role-playing games tonight, and then I think what we're going to do, because everyone's going to love you so much, is we'll have you come back and discuss our miniatures adventures and stuff, and talk about what we liked about miniatures and stuff. But I will tell you that most of the views on my videos come from role-playing games, so I think most of my viewers are role-playing game people.
All right.
So... do you have anything else you want to add about Coriolis before we go off there?
No, we're still playing it. There's always an ebb and flow to all games, to all systems, to all scenarios. And Unfortunately, I think we're in a downslope with Coriolis.
Oh no, I love it.
I know you love it.
I love it.
Unfortunately, we are in a downslope.
Oh no, I love it.
I don't know.
Yes, but I love it.
That's okay. I have never met somebody, right? I have never met somebody who
Oh, here it comes.
only DMs and doesn't play.
I don't like playing.
That's weird.
I like making stories.
I mean, I knew you were weird. You're
I
always
like
a
making
weird
the
little
stories,
bastard, but I never.
Says the guy holding the Delta Green books. So, all right. So we did Delta Green. We did 2.
3, 4.
No, we did 2. We did 2 story campaigns with Delta Green. I
We
think.
use these as palate cleansers.
Yeah, we use these as like something where we need a break, and we wanted to go ahead and do those and everything. So, I am a huge Call of Cthulhu fan. So Delta Green was a no-brainer to me. I really enjoy it. And as Call of Cthulhu focuses on getting squished and ripped apart and going crazy, I mean, Delta Green goes into the madness portion and multiplies it by 100, you know? And I think one of the reasons why you and I really enjoy Delta Green so much is it's a government organization, and you and I have both in some degree work for the government and understand kind of how it works, and
Or doesn't.
or does not. Yeah. I will say too that in these books, the writers really did a good job. They got it right. There were some supplements that were way off. I haven't done a review but there's one that I've been holding off to do a review on because it's like you said, I'm the nice guy. There's one that I read and I was actually really upset with how inaccurate it was. But I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever review that one. I honestly don't. But these books, I think, was so well done. Yeah. They were so apolitical, you know, because when you're involving government agencies and things like that, it's really easy to slide into partisan points of view. And I was very pleased that we did not see that in these two books here. This is basically your player's guide and then your GM's guide, right? You know, handler, yeah, the agent and the handler, the agents being the players and stuff like that. So, tell us about Delta Green. What did you like about Delta Green?
Okay. I absolutely love it as a palate cleanser.
You're going to make me want to play this if we need a break, right?
Yeah. So what I love about it is you get to explore a whole different side of a character, right? We talked earlier about Conan, Erland the Cleaver. Erland Cleaver's a pirate lord. You know, he's infamous throughout the lands. Everybody knows Erland. You know, and that kind of shoehorns you into, you know, certain aspects. I don't want Erland to die.
Okay, so yeah, this is why this is the worst channel on the entire internet and everything. And you should be, I don't want to give it away. I can't really say what you do, but you should be ashamed of yourself for allowing this to happen.
We were just talking about how
technology is your thing.
Yeah, and we could bring this to the next level and how we could partner up and be the Wonder Twins and the rings hit and we can do amazing things.
You literally, technology is literally your thing, and you allowed that to happen. So my cell phone that I'm holding literally ran out of juice and everything as I was filming here. So,
but it was plugged in.
Mm-hmm. Turns out it wasn't charging though. Plugging in is great, but if you're not charging while you're plugged in, I'm afraid you suck. Yeah. So, good news though. Great news, everyone. Sit down for this one. We have a charger that actually we have confirmed is charging. We got the phone charging up to 4%. And then during that time while we were charging from 4%, Malmius was telling me everything we have to do to make this gaming channel not so bland. But I'm not really, I don't know if I'm keen on that because then we'd have to rename the entire channel. Because if it's we'd call it not bland gaming. Unbland gaming.
We progress.
Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about Delta Green and we're talking about what you liked about it. And you were really, for an introvert, I got to tell you, you were on a roll and I hated to cut you off and everything. So
bourbon has nothing to do with it either.
Yeah, no, you're doing great. It's no comparison. Tomorrow's St. Patrick's Day, and it's gonna be terrible.
My liver is already
I know.
twitching.
Oh my god, we are both dying so fast. So watch these videos while you can. They're limited editions. So, okay, all right. So let's talk more about Delta Green. Like, what did you like about Delta Green?
No, I like Delta Green because
Lovecraft is amazing.
Yeah, well, funny story. I was never into Lovecraft until I met you. You know, and I have never played traditional Lovecraft. I never even knew it was a thing. Delta Green was my first introduction to Lovecraft.
So I did not know that.
Yeah.
And I'm holding this phone right now, so I'm afraid you're gonna have to slap yourself. Go ahead, hit yourself.
Yeah, did we
Malmius.
mention that we work together and you could spend hours talking to me?
It's an abusive
Lovecraft.
relationship that we have, though, and I would like to apologize for everything I have done to you and everything I will do to you.
Yeah.
So, okay. But anyway, all right. So Delta Green.
What I love about it is, so it's a palate cleanser for us, to reiterate, rewind. And what I like about it is, you get to play your character. Your character has a limited amount of time, right? So you get to play, your character comes in bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and then they're exposed to this horror, and you get to role play how that affects that character.
And when you say a limited amount of time, you're talking about that ultimately the character's doomed.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they're doomed. Yeah.
And then the character
Almost like Alien, right?
No, different. Right, Alien is very violent. Alien is very sudden. Delta Green and Lovecraft, based on your interpretation of it, as you've told me, there's a descent into madness, and it's amazing to role play that. Right?
Would you say that is more cruel than being dragged into a shaft?
Yeah.
By a xenomorph.
Yeah. So my current character, because we've gone through a few. My current character, has a pill addiction. To cope with, all of this madness going on. So they're doing these amazing investigations and dealing with all this stuff, and all of a sudden, it's like, hey, my character needs to go over here and do something, and the whole table's like, this is really not the time. But he's a pill fiend, right? And what does a pill fiend do? And he's like, oh, I'm going over here right now. And you're playing this descent. And what I love about it is, so the last scenario that we played, right? The handlers are like, hey, is my character, is he okay?
Compromised is the dirty word.
Yeah, is he compromised?
Is agent so and so compromised?
Right.
So.
And with
what's his name? It's because it's Cell S, right? It's Cell Sierra.
Yeah. Sanchez.
Sanchez is Agent Sanchez.
Yeah.
Compromised. Yeah.
And what's amazing, right, is this is non-scripted, right? So everybody else at the table, right? What's the first thing they do? Oh, he's fine. He's fine. We're gonna take care of it. And it's those unscripted moments. It's that spontaneity that's amazing. And then everybody else is kind of role playing their descent into madness.
I like the diversity of the group. And when I say diversity, I do not mean from a political correctness standpoint. I mean from just the
different types of characters.
Yes.
Historian,
yes.
Academic. My guys in
EPA.
The
There's an EPA agent.
Yes.
I love his character.
That's what I love about role playing.
Yeah.
How can you the chic of them all, right? He's basically.
You're talking about Conan again.
Yeah. But you're playing this non-standard character. An EP. How do you make an EPA agent work in a role playing game?
Well, when you think about Delta Green and you think about the threat that the threat that this stuff poses, it makes complete sense that there would be environmental problems and stuff like that. And his character has really proved invaluable when dealing with chemical agents and biological agents and stuff like that.
Providing legitimacy to why the hell you're hey, why is this big tent why can't we go here? Local law enforcement.
Yeah.
How come we can't go in? Well, you got the XY molecule of, the surfactant of this and that.
Yeah. In particular, the last scenario we had a concern with biohazard.
Exactly.
Well, we ran 3 scenarios.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there was the scenario that we ran out of the book, which I really enjoyed, the one at the ranger station.
Mm-hmm.
That one was very cool. And one of the things that I like doing, and part of what...
Oh, you're a loss for words. Wow.
No, I was going to say, well...
This is original.
Part of what we do allows me to prepare dossiers better and things like that without giving away too much. Or did I? Am I going to have to delete this now?
No.
But
it lends an air of mystery. It's like its own role-playing game.
Okay. So I enjoy doing like photos, like giving you photos of what the people look like, the intel photos and stuff like that, and the folders, like giving you case files and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I enjoy doing that. That's very fun.
Yeah, God, man, we're going back to like
You're not supposed to swear on my channel.
Yeah, sorry.
Malmius.
Yeah.
This is a PG rated channel. And
going back to Battlestar
you just made
Galactic,
it PG-13. So
you remember the stuff you printed out and you literally cut the corners off?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did. True story. I took teletypes, right?
Yeah.
I did teletypes from Fleet Command and everything.
Same font and everything.
Yeah, I did. I found the font and I found the little emblem for the colonies and everything for a colonial fleet. And I would cut the corners of it off so it looked like Battlestar, and I would literally hand it to you. And in your cubicle at work, you actually had that. Like it was the one notice, I think, of where they were saying Cylon. It was like very basic. It was like Cylon attack. Yeah. This is not a drill, and it was very. What's so cool about that was it very reminiscent of Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was. That was pretty cool.
Bringing that back to Delta Green, you take those same props and the same pictures, and it's amazing. You had a picture of like a fighter pilot, and you humanize the scenario, right?
Yeah.
So as my character is descending into madness, you're humanizing, this other portion of it in that dichotomy. Yeah. Man, look at those big words I'm using. That's what I love about it.
Where'd you go to college? Never mind. So.
Inside joke.
Inside joke.
Inside joke. Yeah. So
it was junior college.
That's what I love about it. But what I don't like about it, your character is going to descend into madness, right? Your character has a shelf life, and you have to accept it, and. It makes it difficult to play with others sometimes.
You're supposed to be flipping through this. Yeah. My players like it when you flip through this stuff and everything.
Instructions unclear.
I'm just going to have to find a new best friend. Just like finish your drink and go home. Okay, so, I know.
It's a Beretta.
I hate Berettas.
So do I.
So, anyway, I digress. Yeah. So do you know what I don't like about this game?
Oh, yeah.
The suspension of disbelief. It is very hard for me being, what should I say, a quasi-government employee. A lot of the stuff in the game here, I go, well, and you and I had this problem was it our most recent one and everything, where one of the players who is not a government employee was doing things and we said, you can't do that, you're going to get caught. And because of this, and this, you know what I mean?
Metagaming, yeah.
He wasn't metagaming. It's you and I were kind of thinking that, that's not going to work because this, and this, And it reminds me of when I'm trying to, we have a guy that works, I'll say it, I mean, he works in IT, right? In our group, and he's smart. And when I talk about computer issues and stuff like that, he says, well, first I would plug into this and I would do this and I would do this. And he's talking about all this stuff. And I was like going, Jesus. And,
could you speak English, please?
Yeah. And I was describing things that would happen on the computers, and he would go, well, actually, what you would do is this, 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 and this, and everything. And he is 100 awesome. He's awesome about it. He's not like a jerk or anything about it.
Yeah.
But for me, this has been very hard in the sense that this kind of conspiracy would not be able to exist in the United States government with the amount of oversight that is in it and stuff like that. So we have to, I think you and I especially, have to suspend a lot of disbelief when we're playing this game and everything. So
yeah, well, that was the other con to this, right? This last scenario that we played, it was so horrific that anybody who saw what had happened, you're like, that's it. Their sanity is done.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But again,
it was a great scenario though. I was talking with my son and who GMs Delta Green for his group, for his friends, right? Yeah. He's 18 and everything, and that is one of his favorite scenarios. And for those who are wondering, we're talking about the last equation. Is that's the one you're referring to?
Yeah.
That is such an incredible scenario. It's so well done.
But you have to realize, it's so horrific. Right? Mm-hmm. There's no way the average, even the above average government official is going to be like, no, my mind is gone, right? But then you have to turn that into a positive. You could sit there, we can poo-poo all day and say, oh, this is not real, or, this IT is not real, or this investigative process is not real. But that's not the point of all of this.
I'm sorry, can you do that voice one more time? This investigative process is not real.
Yeah, right. This is all fun. So you turn that around. Like, we had a character that, did some non-traditional stuff. Or even me, I'm role playing like, okay, this is the end. No more. I can't handle this. We're going to finish this now. And then, everybody else, not everybody else, but other people at the table are like, no, I'm going to pull you out of this. We're going to help you. And then other people are like, no. Other players are like, no, let him go.
I remember, he was like trying to commit suicide and everything.
Not commit suicide, but he was just like, oh, this is the end. Right?
I remember that.
Sacrificing myself.
Yeah.
So that's the amazing part of it. All right.
So we haven't played it yet, but I did bring out the Twilight 2000 because you and I both own it, and you and I have both backed this when it came out on Kickstarter. You and I both.
No. There's so much nostalgia with this.
Yes, you and I both played this when it first came out and everything, and we're looking forward to playing this one again.
Yeah.
And we haven't played this again. As a matter of fact, if our group is kind of talking about doing something other than Coriolis, and if we did something other than Coriolis, I'm seriously contemplating the Twilight 2000. I think this version of Twilight 2000 is really cool. There are a lot of things I like about it. I think it did a great job of incorporating the Year Zero engine to it, but this Twilight 2000, I think, feels more the original, the version 1 that we played in the 80s, felt like a military simulation with a apocalyptic background as kind of like a background. That's the secondary part of it. This one feels more, I think this feels like Walking Dead without the dead. It feels like this one is a very apocalyptic scenario and stuff. We've talked about this. I'm not a huge fan of the non-military PCs in this game. You can play a kid, you can play a escaped prisoner, and I'm not too keen on that.
That's a whole nother video of what's acceptable in role playing versus real life, and how you can get away with a lot of stuff in role playing, and maybe that's why we do role playing a lot. Because you can't do it in real life to a certain extent. I digress. I agree with you. There needs to be cohesion. There needs to be a glue that sticks everybody together. And we were talking about this over dinner, right? Like 5e. You're like, hey, Malmius, how come you don't like 5e? Like, well, how do you have?
Whoa! I don't like 5e either. I was just asking you. I was asking you for your reasons why you don't like 5e.
Well, so how do you create a group? This might be divisive or divisive, but how do you have, hey, I'm part dragon, and hey, I can fly, and
Tiefling.
Yeah, how do you? It's hard to wrap your mind around. How does a tiefling and a paladin group up together? Like, it's just.
Can I jump off of that?
It's your fucking chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I have to check the little box that says there's swearing.
Yeah. No, it's your channel.
Okay.
Please, sir, please interject.
Maybe I can use the.
Are we at the end of the video? Or?
No, not even. So, God dang it! I forgot what I was saying. So what were you saying?
Well, 5e versus we were reminiscing, about D&D, edition 1 or edition 2.
Yeah.
And even my wife was like, why don't you just go back and play that?
Right.
Versus
yeah. She goes, why don't you just right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh no, I know what I was saying and everything. I was going to say, okay. So we were talking about tieflings, we were talking about dragonkin, we were talking about all these little different things and everything. And I think I've said this in my previous videos that I am a less is more character. So you remember we were talking about Symbaroum the other day, right? Mm-hmm. And I told you that if I played Symbaroum, I would require half of the players to be human, right? Because of the geographical location where they were. And then I had a specific idea for a campaign and everything. And I was like, yeah, I would. And so I think if I ran Twilight 2000, I would require the players, I would say, all right, yeah, you guys are going to be a military group. So I want everyone to be soldiers and everything. So soldiers from different armies is great. We actually have, I can't believe we've been talking for over an hour right now. We have an actual guy that is from Britain that plays in our group. He's living here in the United States, and he's a citizen here in the United States, but he's originally from England.
Is he really a citizen?
I don't know. I just, yeah.
He keeps bringing this flag over, saying,
right.
Hey.
I never turned my back on him on 4th of July.
Yeah.
But anyway, with him, he's a great player in our group too, and he is also a veteran as well of the British Army. And he has expressed a desire to play a British soldier in Twilight 2000. And I think that would be really cool, where he's like separated from his unit. He's attached to this American unit. And I think that would be a lot of fun. There's also, and I'm going to say this because I know that she does not watch my channel, the captain of the ship in Coriolis, we have toyed with the idea of having her be a brand new butter bar second lieutenant where we start out the scenario where there's a NPC that's a captain that's in charge of the unit. And then in that very first session 1, she's the only officer, right? And she thinks that she's going to be following around an NPC the whole game. And we have not shared this with her, by the way. And in the very first scenario, the captain gets and he's a lovable, he's a good leader. He's a capable leader. He's confident, but he just gets shot in the head, right? And then she is having almost like the Tom Hanks Saving Private Ryan moment where she can't hear and stuff like that. And we were talking about your character being an NCO, a senior NCO, which is what you were for a long time before you became a warrant officer. And having you come up to her and talking to her where he's talking to her and she can't hear him. You know what I mean?
So I'm the Tom Sizemore to
Tom
Hanks.
Like, what do we do now, ma'am? And everything. And then having her kind of have to, and what would be a beautiful moment is not explaining to her that we were going to do this to her and having her rise up.
That's beautiful to you?
It is. Oh, totally. I think it's going to be awesome because then you have her being this brand new second lieutenant who probably, her character is probably like a logistics officer or something, or It reminds me of the lieutenant from Red Storm Rising.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
What was he? He was a weather guy
weather,
for the Air Force and everything, and he winds up leading these Marines across the countryside in Iceland and everything, and that was very much inspired by it. And I think that she would rise to the occasion. I think she would love it.
Well, from a metagaming standpoint, she has a backup to say, because she plays in her Coriolis campaign. She's the captain of the Falcon's Fortune.
Yeah.
And, there are times where she just doesn't know. So it would be good to have somebody to go, hey, Sarge, ma'am,
Lieutenant,
we're going over here.
Yeah.
Everybody, we're going over here. Yeah. Great idea, ma'am.
The thing is I think in Coriolis she runs the ship like a democracy where she has the final say, right? But I think in Twilight 2000 she would be forced to take command.
Yeah, but
she in
has
the
a
end,
fallback.
the senior NCO would have to sit there and say, "Ma'am, you have to be in charge. You have to give the orders. I can't do this for you. You have to do this. You're the officer," and stuff like that.
We're getting off topic.
Yeah, but I think no, I think so. I think that would be really cool to watch, and I think it would be very cool. And she is a great role player. The other thing too is, did you notice that she is getting so great with stepping up and rising to the occasion in Coriolis? I wonder how
spacing people.
Yes.
Well,
but they were all bad.
They were all bad.
But having her, I think she would slide into the second lieutenant that becomes the lieutenant who. I mean, we've talked about Team Yankee, the novel, right? And in how there's a part in the book where it talks about the officers that maybe might appear mediocre in peacetime, but then in wartime they thrive and everything. And there's that one junior officer in it. And I almost wonder if she would be like that, where she'd be this amazing officer in wartime. And I think that because she's sharpening her claws in Coriolis, so to speak, I think I would love to watch her become the de facto leader of the Twilight 2000.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I think that could be good. All right, listen, we need to bring it. We're approaching at about an hour and a half here and everything.
Which part?
Yeah, but I do want to bring it. I want to circle back to something. What is, of all the games that you have played in our group, tell me which one's your favorite and tell me why. No, you have to.
No,
you have to.
No, I
tell me, or just go. I'm serious. If you leave and you don't tell me, you can go find yourself a new best friend.
All right. There's no single answer. I love Conan because of the expansive world.
Okay.
I love my character in Conan. Erland the Cleaver is. Yeah. He's an amazing character.
Very dark. A darker half of.
Jack Sparrow.
Jack Sparrow. Yeah. I think. Yeah. In the best possible way.
Yeah.
But he's also very funny, like Jack Sparrow is, so.
Weird, yeah. Coming from an introvert, as you like to say. And then Coriolis, right? Because Coriolis is so expansive also. In all the trials and tribulations, what I like about Coriolis is a personal thing, right? We've had so many different players. We've had so many different iterations of the crew because of real life things, and yet we're able to bring new people in and make it work. So, yeah.
So, do you know which one's my favorite? I'm not going to say. Do you know why? Because
Deeb, it changes every week.
Oh my goodness. I have to not swear on this. So seriously, I am not going to say which one is my favorite because no. Hear me out. Because I talked to you when we were at work the other day, and I said I'm going to do like an Academy Awards for role-playing games, and that is what's going to happen.
The Dundies from The Office.
Yes, I'm going to say like best fantasy, best science fiction. And I'm going to do like best overall, best horror and everything. So, and it's going to be hard, like look at like horror, right? Best horror. I mean, the nominees are Alien, Vaesen, Call of Cthulhu, classic Call of Cthulhu, Delta Green, right? I mean, that's all good stuff and everything. So I do have a couple new games that I have just picked up recently that I'm going to do some reviews on. And I know that one you are not interested in at all, and one I think you're kind of interested in. And the one that you're not interested in at all is Transformers. I got the Transformers because I love Transformers, and I have completely read that one. I just need to sit down and do the review of that. And then the other one, Blade Runner. What do you think about... Tell us what your thoughts are about... I should really pause the game and go get the... I should pause the video and go get the game and everything.
We need to wrap this up.
I know we do.
Because we're blathering.
We are not blathering. Do you have somewhere to be? Do you have a date or something?
No.
Because we already took our wives out to dinner.
And I'm listening.
Do you realize that people don't watch this? They sit there and they turn it on and they listen to it.
God, I hope so.
While they're painting or while they're driving or whatever. This should really be a podcast. And so it shouldn't be a video. This should be a podcast.
Man, we could be rich.
Right? I'm not doing this for money. I'm going to retire soon.
I'm not.
You're going to be working way after I retire and everything. That's so... Because you started late, so sorry.
Yeah. I retired before you did.
I'm going to stop asking you on my show if you keep swearing. So, anyhow. So, I digress.
I was in the army.
Yeah. So...
Okay. Yeah, let's...
So, no. No, let's go back to this, okay? Because I just asked you something. I can't remember what it was. I asked you...
Stop the video.
No, I asked you Blade Runner.
Would I play it?
Would you play Blade Runner?
Absolutely. I'm not buying it.
Okay, yeah. You know what I think is the problem with Blade Runner, and I'll get into this in my review, is I do not see Blade Runner being a fun 5-player game or 6-player game, which is usually what our ideal size that we've been playing with, honestly. Our Coriolis group is 5 and our Conan group is 6, right? Which is the absolute maximum I would go. And then I think Blade Runner is a 3-player game at best.
Do you think Blade Runner is going to be a palate cleanser, or is that going to be an ongoing campaign?
I don't know. I think I've always pictured Blade Runner being you, Aardvark, and Ashens. I always thought that would be the good ones. I mean, you are a step ahead in Blade Runner because you're a raging alcoholic. And so I think that is a necessary part for your character. And I think that's great. Yeah. I would like to see...
Just to let everybody know, I ran 3 miles today.
Yeah. I mean, I saw it. It was great. I would like to see Nora try Blade Runner out. Maybe it would be interesting to see what she does with it and everything. Anyway, I digress. And then I recently backed Free League because you know how much I love Free League. I recently backed Free League's Walking Dead.
You and Kickstarters?
Yes. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So that 5th intervention did not work.
Yeah. So speaking of Kickstarters, we're gonna Malmius, I really enjoyed the time that we've had with you tonight. This has been great. Okay. Yes. And thank you very much. Will you come back and talk to us about miniatures and board games, like board games that you've played and miniatures?
Yeah. I want to talk about the guy who taught me how to pour lead to make my own miniatures. Great.
No, that's very interesting, but we want to talk about the games that we've been playing, right? So right on top there, that's the first one we've been playing. We've been playing World War III Team Yankee, and I got the rest of them. No spoilers. No spoilers. Okay. So
you might want to stop it.
No, I'm focusing.
You might want to stop it.
You for a guy that's like got a degree from a junior college, you sure have. You sure are not very smart. So he does not. He does not have a... That's the joke, folks.
Inside joke.
He does not have a degree from a junior college.
He doesn't have a degree.
So he does either. So, okay. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. If you like this, please leave us a comment and everything. If you thought this was totally dumb, please leave us a comment. I'm totally going to rub it in Malmius's face and everything. But thanks for tuning in. And I think what we will do is I will try and get some of my other players here. I would like to see Malmius return and discuss some of the board games that we play and then also some of the miniatures games we play. I think we play more miniatures games than board games. Even though audience is very much into role-playing games and stuff, perhaps even we could review something that we haven't talked about tonight together. Maybe we could look at the Blade Runner game and kind of take a look at that and everything. So I have a tendency to not say and whatnot, which is my verbal sin when I'm talking with you. So maybe I'll bring you in on some more of our reviews and stuff in the future. But anyway, in the meantime, thank you folks for turning in. This ran very long, but I'm hoping that this played more like a podcast to you, and I hope that you guys enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed filming it and everything. So, we would love to talk more with you guys, but even though that tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day, we still probably have a couple more drinks in us tonight before the night is over and everything. And Malmius is a chronic swearer, so the fact that he has made it this far without dropping numerous foul language and everything is a miracle. So I got to cut him loose. I got to get him another drink and allow him to swear as much as he can, and then we'll get him an Uber home. So thank you for turning in. Malmius, thank you for your time. Thanks for coming over last minute, and we didn't even plan this. I just said, hey, come on over. I want to interview you. And so I appreciate you coming over tonight. So
yeah, thanks for tricking me and saying, hey, there was free booze.
It's kind of free, not free. Humiliation. It's a high price. So all right, in the meantime, thanks again for tuning into Bland Gaming. Without a doubt, the most boring and technically inept channel on the internet. I am Deeb, your host, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks very much. Take care. We'll see you.